concept was created with the hope of providing knowledge to people to learn how to survive in the current times we are in. You know, the difference between people who are succeeding and those who are not is what they know. What you know determines what life you will live. So if you don't have access to the right knowledge, you'll be missing out with what is trending now. Lately, it's been said that the year 2023 is going to be a year of a tough time for the society. People keep wondering what can be done in the times we are in. So we put up this conference to bring up speakers who have experience to share with the youth and upcoming society of what can be done so that you survive the times we are in. I mean, all is not lost. What we lack is the knowledge of how to survive the times we are in. So we came together to form a conference whereby we are combining motivation with empowerment and networking. Because we believe that these are the three basic things that one needs to succeed in any field they find themselves. When you have the right network to support you, you will definitely succeed. If you have the right empowerment to know about the finances, how to raise finances, things to do, the kind of businesses to do now, the kind of businesses to invest into, and the current times we are in, you come out hopeful. So this conference is just to give hope to people that it is still possible to make it in the times that we are in.
So what sets your conference apart from the other ones that have been held in the past? What makes this different? How is this going to impact people?
What makes ours different is that we are providing mentorship as an option as well. So with the motivation is with regards to the fact that if you follow someone who has already achieved success in the field you are interested in, it's a form of mentorship. So after the conference, we'll be launching our mentorship class, whereby those who join the class will have access to speakers, the speakers on this platform, and other speakers that will be brought on board regularly to help them develop their ideas and guide them throughout the year. So the conference doesn't end today. It's just the beginning of other things to happen. So whoever comes for the conference and signs up to the mentorship class will receive guidance and support right throughout the whole year until they're able to make something for themselves. That's what we are bringing as a different thing. It's not just going to be the usual talking, and then you go out. No, there's going to be follow-ups, monitoring to see how you've made progress from today. So those who came, they filled the form, and some we asked them areas that they want to develop. So based on the information they provided, we are going to use that to communicate to them and provide them support in those areas. So the conference is just the beginning of other great things to happen.
Thank you for your time.
I'm Daniel Farr from JNJ, and looking at the speakers for this program, such as Professor Prof. Stephen Adei, I'm expecting to be highly educated because he's a very prominent person, and also I'm expecting to be motivated.
My name is Justina Isel. I'm from the Ghana Institute of Journalism. And as the theme depicted, I'm here to be motivated, to be empowered, and also to network with other people. I believe that the speakers have a great wealth of knowledge, and I'm also here to learn from their experience and also learn from the knowledge they will share. Thank you.
To delve into taking advantage of low-hanging fruits and getting a side hustle, we'll have one man who has distinguished himself in so many ways, and I would like to introduce him. A quote precedes him. There's someone sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago, Warren Buffett. Now, the speaker was born in the village called Hwemwase in Adansi, the Ashanti region. Among his father's Among his mother's children, he is the fourth born of 7 siblings. He had his primary education at Methodist Primary School and nearby United Middle School in Brofo Yedu. After his basic education, he obtained a 4-year teacher's certificate in 1964 from the somebody says, wow. Training College. He studied privately to gain London University Ordinary and advanced level general certificates in education and proceeded to the University of Ghana in 1968 to do economics, sociology, and geography, after which he did his BSc in economics, 1968. Some of us were not born. Then he went to Strathclyde for his master's degree in development economics and now holds a PhD in international economics at the University of Sydney in Capitan, Australia. Career. He was the Director General and Rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, popularly known as GIMPA, between January 2000 and December 2008. He was a senior economist of the Commonwealth Secretariat, London, 1986 to 1989. He worked with the UNDP for 11 years and a half. Among others, he was chief in the African Bureau, head of the UN system in South Africa and Namibia. He also served as a board chair of the Ghana Revenue Authority, sworn in by the finance minister in Ghana, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. Also concurrent with GRA, he was chairman of NDPC and a member of the Judicial Council and Advisory Board of the Ministry of Finance. He emeritus professor at Ashesi University and executive chairman of the Ghana Christian International High School, as well as chairman of Accra College of Medicine. He says always that he is a student of the Bible. Achievements: Order of the Volta Companion of Ghana, Leadership Excellence Awards, Fellow and Patron of the Chartered Institute of Marketing's FCIMG, Doctor of Letters from GIMPA. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you my father, your uncle, the world's uncle. And I got to know today that he's been a counselor, a family counselor for over 41 years. Family counselor over 41 years. And he's been doing it years before that time. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome with a standing ovation, Professor Stephen Adei.
Good morning to all of you. I can see that some people don't have notebooks and others have, because Reverend Dogoche didn't give anybody a notebook. But I've sent my notes to the organizers so that everybody who registered, they should send it to you after. I've sent I've both the PowerPoint version and also the straightforward version, but I've sent you the straightforward version. It's easier that way. And so listen carefully and then you can take notes. But I know that Mr. Manti is here, and I want to ask him how much of my money with him has been shaved off by haircut. EDC, the two mutual funds, by going for mark to market, is down by about how much percent in terms of value? 21%. That isn't too bad. Okay. How many of you understand the discussions we are having now? Raise your hands. Everybody know about how the mark to market and how the value has gone down and everything else. But let me say that he will tell you, but please, if your money is in the mutual fund, don't go and withdraw it. As much as it has gone down, it will come up. So, just especially, none of you here is old enough. Those of us with cemetery flowers even are keeping our money there. So I've been asked to talk about entrepreneurship skills, low-hanging fruits, and side hustles. I refuse to talk to the organizers. What do they mean by side hustles? Because it's a modern word. We used to call part-time work. Is that the same? But when they call you to talk, you don't ask for the meaning so that you can say whatever you want to say. First of all, when they sent the letter and what were going to happen, I was wondering whether their people knew me, because my wife and I started actually all family counseling business in Ghana in 1982. We've written about 15 books. So I was wondering, why did they ask me to talk about entrepreneurship? Then there was somebody going to talk about leadership. And it just happened that I'm the first professor of leadership in Africa. So I said, then actually they don't know me about it. And then I saw that though the person, all of them are qualified for their purposes about money. Mr. Mante is coming, and he says, but he owes me money, and I don't know where. You should have invited those of us who are suffering. My people go on strike. This is the first time pensioners have gone on strike in Ghana, because it's only workers who go on strike. But I didn't join them. And the reason why I didn't join them, not because I'm well off, though I should be better than the average pensioner, just because there was no need for that demonstration. Because what the Minister of Finance says is that if you don't sign up, you are exempt if you're a pensioner. And they say, no, write to us that we are exempt. So eventually, they stopped going there. I think it was a face-saving one. They are getting the letter that they are exempt. Anyone who hadn't signed up was exempt automatically. So I says, well, except that, no, the former Chief Justice had joined them, so they didn't want to do a counter demonstration. But it was total misunderstanding of what was going on. It's the young people who should have gone on strike, not the pensioners. But then it was the opposite. But then, so I was trying to find out what is my qualification to talk about entrepreneurship, especially since I'm a young man of only in my 50 year. Watch your mouths. And I think that I taught many of your parents in school. At least not in the same school, but at the same time. So I took advantage of the fact that the one who had invited us is a pastor, because I'm a theologian. I have a Bachelor of Divinity and Masters in Theology, actually. Love for Jesus is my first passion. So I said, well, if Dogache is talking about business, maybe I qualify also. Then I said, but this is not church service. Then I realized that I may probably qualify because I'm a social entrepreneur. My wife and I established various social interventions, Family Life Mission of Ghana in 1982, Christian High, which has a turnover of over 40 million cedis a year. But as a social entrepreneur, some people will actually go and see the school and they come to me and ask for money. And I say, no, I'm a social entrepreneur. The school doesn't belong to me. The only thing I get from the school is my salary. They are good enough to fuel my car, give me a car and fuel it as CEO, and then they take care of my health. But a social entrepreneur, he does everything like any entrepreneur, but the results is for the cause, not for him. So please, lest anyone comes for me for money. Then I thought that maybe I also qualify as an entrepreneur. How many of you understand entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is somebody who runs other people's business as if it is his own, and he is the entrepreneur. And for me, that's what we did at Gimpa. It's the only university in the whole of Africa which is not government financed, but it's a public university, self-financing. Because I believe that when you are either a public servant or even running somebody's private business, you must do it as any entrepreneur will do: efficiency, profitability, and accountability with integrity. However, there's one reason why I accepted to come, and let me say it up front. In the modern world, all the rich people who are not thieves will be entrepreneurs. Do you hear me? All the rich people. And we don't see it in Ghana because, unfortunately, most of our temporary, and it is going to be there for long, of our well-off people, most of them, not all of them, are corrupt politicians and public servants, which is sad. And occasionally, even some so-called people who call themselves pastors of self-made churches fall into that category. However, they and their posterity will not continue to be rich. It's a matter of a decade or at most, a generation or two. Why? Because their stolen monies, if their children don't have entrepreneurship, will be wasted within 1 or 2 generations. The future belongs to who? Entrepreneurs. And that's why I get excited when, especially younger people like you, and everybody who is under 60 is a young person. How many of you here are more than 60? So, kids like you. If you didn't laugh, then I know there's something wrong. Because then we are very close to Gethsemane Cemetery. Must see entrepreneurship not as an afterthought, but a mainstream activity. And interestingly, 80% of people who become entrepreneurs first start as employees or otherwise. So the fact that you are not having a business today does not preclude you from that. I believe that entrepreneurship is the only way to solve our country's low growth, import dependence, future haircuts, and solving our unemployment problem. I want to share a few points quickly, 10 of them, and then give opportunity for questions After I finish and you have asked the questions, I may ask permission to go home, because my principal work now is being with the best woman God made, my wife, as a caregiver. There's a book my family have written about her. I think my assistant is here with some books. And do you have a copy of Akos, the best woman God made, with you? Did you have a copy of Akos, the best woman God made? You have? Okay. Of course, let me do what professors do, the definitions and other things. I like being a professor. So when you speak and they hear or they don't hear, you are paid. But to make sure that we are on the same wavelength, I will just read a small paragraph. What is entrepreneurship and why it is imperative for us to encourage it? This is my own definition, of course. I glean it from various places, but I say entrepreneurship has to do with the assembly of ideas, capital, that's money, human, technological, and other resources to set up a productive entity to produce products and or services to achieve set goals, usually profit, in known areas by doing things better, faster, or cheaper. One of the good things is that whenever you can do anything better, faster, and cheaper, you are in good business. And that is things which are already in existence. For example, there was taxis, now there's Uber and Yango. And because people now want to be able to call the taxi to your house, and it is cheaper. Someone told me yesterday that these ones are cheaper per mile than the typical taxi, most of which will try to cannibalize you, and relatively safer. So if you can do anything, assembling these resources, because I'm saying this because often when we talk about entrepreneurship, people think that it's doing something different. So the first one is even existing things. Once you find ways of doing it better, cheaper, and faster, you are in good business. Need fufu, the same fufu, which is the delicacy of Hiromwasi. Now, he did it such that the pounding is gone and other things. So he becomes, Kwame Despite, rich. And then people from Hiromwasi keep on pounding choba. So they are okay, but they are never rich enough. But there's another type also. And especially that's where being young is an advantage. Being creative and innovative and bringing into being new products and services. And those who are able to bring these together, those motivated to do so and willing to bear the risk to achieve their goals, are entrepreneurs. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second one is, it seems that if you want to be an entrepreneur, you must cultivate the entrepreneurial personality. In other words, you must start thinking differently. There are two types of people. Broad categorization. In between there are so many shades. It's like saying that we are all black, but my fellow counselor is whitish black. And I am black. So there are various shades. Dude, there's the worker mentality, whereby it's I have skills. I'm an accountant, I'm an economist, I'm an engineer. I got first class in Legon, and tech. So this is my paper. Will you like to engage me? And if you don't engage me, I joined the Unemployed Graduates Association, so that we'll fight for our rights for being unemployed. That is the worker mentality. And that was dominant in this country for a long time. For example, because there were, especially if you made it to the university, there were opportunities. For example, when I finished Legon, this is the good old days. Chips and Kentucky Fried. We had good old days. I had 4 job offers. To be an economist at the Bank of Ghana, economist at the Ministry of Finance, deputy assistant manager at Barclays Bank, and evaluation officer at Ghana Investment Promotion Center. Not bad at all. Because at my time, we were only 3,000 people in the whole of the University of Ghana. I hear that a typical secondary school is more than 3,000. So, some movie French fries are different. But so we get the mentality that you go to the university, and then when you come out, somebody offers you a job. And we are in a transition. The question is this. That is the worker mentality. And of course, it includes many managing directors, chief executives. But the mentality is the same. But let me tell you, the future of those with employment worker mentality is not that bright. We didn't see it, but all the time. Do you know in Ghana, take the government employees. Do you know how many people are employed by the government of Ghana despite the bloated public services? Less than 800,000 out of 32 million Ghanaians, of which 18 million are adults. In other words, the government and the para-government institutions, all of them together, don't employ more than 1 million Ghanaians. And of that, teachers and nurses are about 600,000. That's how. So the other is so limited. And unfortunately, there are some young people, when they finish the university, say, oh, teaching. They say, I don't like teaching. The question is that there's nothing there for you. And the formal sector, the private sector, is also very limited. I'm not too sure of the statistics, but there will be more than 2 million. What it means is that the average Ghanaian is self-employed or employed by somebody at the lower level. Of course, a farmer is a self-employed. The watch seller is self-employed. 80% of Ghanaians. It is this big one that must be energized, excited, and helped to expand, and then Ghana will become great. And it is important for people to start thinking differently. It's not that when you get a full-time job, it's not good. Some of us spend most of our time doing that. But things are changing. And even me talking to you, when my youngest son finished 2 degrees and then was sitting at home, and I said, Charlie, aren't you going to look for a job? Every day he was sitting in front of computer. Then one day we went to church, and his friends who have been employed in the banks and the rest, they were talking, says, hi Charlie, what are you doing? He said, I'm building my capacity. I see you to get 2 jobs, 2 degrees, and then you sit in my house and you chop for free, and then you ask, you say, I'm building my capacity. About 6 months later, he bought a second-hand camera. One was BSc engineering, electronic and light electrical engineering, and BSc computer science. Then he bought a camera. Within a short time, if you Google, there is a company called Team 1000 Ways. That is his company. And he was earning the equivalent, probably, of a university professor before he was 30 years. That's the difference of, even me, I had to get used to an entrepreneurial spirit of a young man. They tend to be the friends of Rodney. That's their age. And so you have to start thinking, attitude is almost everything. And the fact that the future belongs to people who think as entrepreneurs. They are willing, they have passion, they follow their passion, they are willing to take risks, sometimes self-confident and overconfident. They want to achieve greater things, and yet at the same time, very humble. Let me, the last time, use my son. The humility was this, that soon his friends who went to the bank had car loans. They were in cars and other things. And I could have spared him a car, but I wouldn't give you a car if you say you are sitting home building your capacity. But so he was going about it with trotro and the rest. I think among his colleagues, he was the first to have his own 4-wheel drive. But you may have to, later on we'll find out, work hard, earn less, build your business. It may take about 3 years sometimes before you break even and other things. But all the future millionaires are going to come from those categories. If you listen to the Tobin Codes and the Zoom Lions, they were all in the Apampam store category. And yet today, we want to exchange. The entrepreneurial personality, self-motivated, capable, but not just going to sell their skills to somebody, but put together ideas, resources, marketing, and apply themselves tenaciously to create something. And I say the future belongs to them. It's interesting that the advertisers used the acronym MEN. So I decided, because I hadn't thought about it, to research whether there's, when we come to entrepreneurship, whether there's a difference between men and women. And let me share a few findings as a side issue. All over the world, there are more men entrepreneurs than women. Quite interesting. Which doesn't seem to be the same in Ghana. But even in Ghana, the women are more at the lower level. But the big entrepreneurs tend to be men. A few women are there, like one doing electrical cables and the rest. So the research seems to suggest that Ghanaians are unique. And yet, so when it comes to competence, all the studies show that there's no difference in competence. So it's not their competence that determines that more. But it would seem that there are certain things, the motivation to succeed tend to be much more, it may be socially engineered, but more the men feel compelled to succeed more than the women. There's a bias. Generally, men have gotten more support in the past than the women. And so therefore, they tend to be much more confident. Most women are a bit humble about their capacity. Whilst a man was a little bit, hey, Charlie, hold me. I have 2 girls and 2 boys as my children. My older daughter is one of I thank God, one of the brainiest people you can get in the world. He went to the University of South Africa to do a medical program at the age of 17. And sometimes he calls home. I was then the UN ambassador to Namibia. He says, I'm bored. I said, Chade, make sure that I don't pay school fees for nothing. You say, you are in a medical school and you say you are bored. It means that you are not doing it. But he came out. I'm a university professor, but I never knew that there was a grade like that. He came out with first class honors with distinction. And when he came to Ghana, the Ghanaian doctors decided that he was foreign trained, so he must be examined before he can practice in Ghana. I mean, somebody with first class honors distinction from South Africa. So he had to go and do the foreign trained medical examination. Her mother was at home, and somebody calls her. He says, are you Eunice's mother? He says, yes. He says, is there trouble? Is he in trouble? He says, no. Ever since the 1960s or so, they started doing the examination. Your daughter has got the highest mark ever recorded. The same way when he became a specialist, the whole of West Africa, she was the top. So what I'm saying is this. I don't think in our house there are 3 women and 3 men, and we know that the 3 women are more intelligent than the... Don't tell them. There's somebody here, I'll have to warn him, my assistant. If you tell them that I said this, because the boys will kill me. So the studies show that it's more social engineering has favored so far. So we hope that as gender equality improves, but also the men tend to come into business after some experience, while women tend to be first-time entrepreneurs and therefore have challenges. However, irrespective of whether you are a male or a female, your attitude counts, your skills and knowledge, and your willingness to apply yourselves. Number 3 of my 10, and I want to finish so that those... Manti, it's not me who will make you late. You didn't start on time. But I will try to save a little bit of my time so that we do what we call in my village adjustment. How do people come out with entrepreneurial ideas? The reason is that if you open your eyes and think a little bit, we are going to do an exercise at the end, but let us do this. Over here, as I see you, I already see a lot of about 100 entrepreneurial opportunities. Let me see whether you see what I see. Do you see entrepreneurial ideas here in this room? Anybody? 1? Hey, I'm a professor. I ask questions. And when I ask questions, you answer, or I give you 0. Now, Onomas, get set. I want 20, just by looking at ourselves, 20 entrepreneurial ideas. Quick. Yes. Shout. Notebooks and pen. Yes, if you had brought some notebooks and pens, you could have sold some of them. Yes. Yes. Yeah, at least. Irrespective. Yes. Another one. Yes. Food. Good, yes? Pictures, yes. These people, you see, they are so rich that they wear different clothing. Black, yes. MCing, yes. Like Rodney. Yes. Let's go on, quick, out 20. You know, let me stop here because some people are being shy. Who is Dogwache, come here. You cannot be shy because you have brought us all here. Come and stand here, let me. You know, he feeds about 20 people. A baba. You know, if you have a special barber shop, whereby, for example, people after work can have their hair cut in 30 minutes on their way home. He has a shirt. This shirt alone has about 20 businesses behind. True or false? He has shoes, his trousers. You didn't get the joke. What makes him look a bit pregnant? A lot of food, his watch. Did he come here walking? No. So, and in other words, as soon as you just look at him alone, you have a lot of business ideas. You open your eyes and it goes. Wherever people are congregated, there's a business idea. I'm trying to make it as simple, and let me tell you, when you go home, everyone here, decide to sit down for 1 hour to generate 100 investment ideas. You are not going to be, you can't invest in 100 places, so even Bill Gates doesn't. But when you have finished the 100, you'll be surprised that you'll be excited about 3 of them, and you start pursuing them. So, let me give you let me help you so that when you go home and you are doing the exercise, it will be easier. First of all, never waste your passion, your cries and pains and your dreams. You know, oftentimes, has something annoyed you? It is an indication, it's an area. When you follow it, you are likely to solve. For example, I went to school in Brofiedru. That means English is heavy. It just happened to be that's a literal translation of where I went to school. So, when I had my first child, I said, hey, how am I going to teach this child so that he doesn't get to 16 years before he can read a novel properly? That led to my discovery of something, so that all my children, 4 of them, by the time they were 6, they were totally literate. That means that they can read any book any adult can read. When I told my friends when I were in Australia, when we came, he said, because you are a teacher, Ghanaians, always negative first. Your children are bright, I said, please, can you try the method? Every friend of mine who tried it got the same result. But you know what? Later on, you are wondering about paying school fees and other things. You forget that other children existed until my grandchildren came. And my grandchildren came and visited, and one was 5 years, and always, Mommy, read to me, Daddy, read to me, Grandpa, read to me. I said, 5-year-old? I shouldn't be reading to a 5-year-old. I had tried the same method. Within 1 month, my granddaughter was literate. So by the 16th, I've written 9 books, that will help Ghanaian children, because we must, apparently, they go to school. The World Bank study of Ghana shows that Ghanaians have, in the lower level, in the public schools, what they call schooling without learning. And we want to reverse it. But so, if you want to teach them, come and get the books and them. In fact, I'm going to hopefully have an arrangement with the Ministry of Education so that at least it will be online for free, because Ghanaian children cannot be among the worst up to the grade 3, the worst in the world when it comes to education. And we are seeing Fatak Ghana format. So please, what you get angry about is often an indication for business, for you to work there. What you are passionate about and what you like most to do. For example, I love my wife so much, I became a marriage counselor. I've written 15 books. And if you buy them, you get wiser and I get richer. Ghanaians can't stand the truth, but that is true. Let's move on. Oftentimes, your hobbies, your talents and interests are good pointers. Also, where you are working, those of you who are working, you can see niches, value chains, certain things are not happening. It's a pointer to that. Following customer surveys, research, mass media, and current trends. Market gap analysis, talking to people that matter. Whom you talk to makes a lot of difference. You know, there are some people in Ghana, don't talk to them. And this is not defending the negative. You know, there are some people who feed their minds all on the negativity. But have you thought, and Ukraine, the Ghana, there's no doubt at all. But what opportunities exist? Before Ghana will be cool, other people have become millionaires because of the difficulties. For example, do you live in a neighborhood and everybody goes to Makola or the market to buy things? And you go and look, with my aboboya, that's what they call it, I will supply all the vegetables at your doorsteps. All that you need is 100 people, rich people, every week. Because those people, 100, find it easy to let go. Pastors say, Dogoche, Mante, and Counselor, to give you 50 Ghana profit so that all their vegetables are fresh at their doorstep. 100 times 50 is what? 100 times 50 is what? 5,000 a week times 4. Are you with me? When, you know, this is a bad example, but you say, you know, when there's war, those who make ammunition become richer. So please, just think about it. Just some crazy thought just came to my mind. Why should everybody be walking, especially for about 1 mile or taking trotro to go to school? This is a time some mothers should just gather about 4 people in the neighborhood, 10 of them, and say that the first 3 years we will do it here. They will end up giving them more quality education than going to a status school. Actually, my aunt, Mrs. Sribo, that's how he started Morning Star. Auntie had 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. She was a seamstress, and now going to look for school, and she decided to look after her children and ask other people's children to join her. And that is Morning Star. Have you heard about Morning Star before? That's how my auntie started it. The husband, Mr. Sribo, happens to be a distant relative of my father from Asante Dwabi. So, let's follow that. Oftentimes, there are few, like Bill Gates, being highly creative and innovative. But when we think, there is a little book of mine, because when I talked about making money, apart from the financial, which I won't talk about it today, I promoted so much mutual fund support now. People are asking me, but you have been telling us to invest. Now, what about the haircut? I said, when you have a haircut, it will grow again. So just take my investments in America when I was there with the mutual funds. There was a downturn, and I lost about 60% of it during the financial crisis. Actually, I was so afraid that I didn't go and ask them how much, and I was not even reading the returns. Till about 5 years. So I was in America, and then I said, hello, Vanguard. Yes. What is the level of my funds? Because I knew that it had fallen to about $30,000. He says, one of them is 60,000 now, there were two. The other one is 90. I says, please, can I cash some immediately before it falls again? It will rise again, okay? If you are a mutual fund investor, you don't need your money. I'm not promoting it for Mante, but keep it there. I believe in there. But I have a small book there. And when I talk about investment, people used to ask me, where do we invest? I said, open your eyes. But they still ask me the question. So I decided to open my eyes and write a book called, can you let me have a copy of it? Investment and self-employment ideas for almost everyone in Ghana. And basically, what I've done here is, of course, the first ones are investing in yourself, earn some income legitimately, investing in financial instruments, and then there's a series, services, food, making, agriculture, education, transport, land, tourism, ICT, related manufacturing, trading. Even investing in eternity, which is the most important one. You get your tithe, but help people to go to heaven. So, please, there are so many areas, and some low-hanging, because there is need. Wherever you hear of a need, there's an opportunity for investment. And you can start very, very low, small, and grow. Let me move on. I'll finish the first 5. If you didn't count, I'll stop counting. But let me say that, however, the question is that, why, therefore, are not so many investors and entrepreneurs? Because, of course, there are challenges. And he says that somebody said the Ghanaian is the only one who starts speech with an apology. So I decided to put this one lower, not to discourage us and be a typical Ghanaian. There are some challenges which, of course, entrepreneurs face. And if you are going to be a starter, there are so many of us who, because of the challenges around, we have stopped dreaming and thinking big. And my son used to say that one day he came from kindergarten and his song was, think big. If you are going to think small, why think at all? Yes, well, I think this song has a lesson for some of us. But please, don't suffer from no vision, no goals, lack of direction, and self-doubt. Everybody in this room is far more intelligent than they give themselves credit for. You are not a typical Ghanaian, because the typical Ghanaian is semi-illiterate, poor, and does not come to sit in this auditorium. Cast self-doubt and aim high, because the sky is the limit for you. Again, let me just mention them en passant and go. Also, the idea of that doesn't mean also you should rush to any idea that you follow it. Whenever you have an idea when you think it's marketable, please take time, think through, and put them down. Put ideas, how you are going to work it. Actually, that's what a business plan is all about. We have made business plans are so hideous, but actually it's thinking through. What's the product? Who are the people whom I will be serving? How am I going to serve them? What is the margin and the rest? That's what goes into the business plan. Also, the reason why many people don't take the entrepreneurial route is that being an entrepreneur is a harder work than being an employee. You work longer. If you start, you are both the MC and the cleaner, and oftentimes you have to do without some of the benefits for a longer time. Of course, there's the fear of failure. That's why I like the song, "He that is down need fear no fall." If you come from Shiromwasi, it's okay. But if you are Dadiba and you are used to cheese, you cannot suffer eating only coffee brokuman for a long time. I remember some of my staff, I rose very high quickly because I took the research line. I was deputy director of Ghana Investment Promotion Center at the age of 31. But my staff, some of them big or older, want to go and buy coffee brokuman for me. And I said, why? That time, the coffee brokuman is going to cost me and peanut 2 cedis. And I send you, and when you come, I give you 1 cedi, 50% cost. Financial loss to me. No. So in the ministry's area, all the guys who were selling coffee brokuman were my friends. I don't go and buy it and bring it to my office. Oh. I just go and sit beside them. Coco, will you mommy? No, didn't hold my handkerchief. No. Why? Because I wanted to create a margin for investment. So, of course, you have to be humble. Especially if you are going to start up, you have to be humble. In fact, for the men, one of the reasons why in Ghana, at the lower level, women tend to do better is pride. You know, I used to visit them especially when I was overseas. I like coffee brokuman very well. But the only place I was assured of coffee brokuman was the East Legon, that loop. There are some women there who sell coffee brokuman all year round. So I come and as usual, I park my car and I sit with them. And do you know what? They were, even those days, they were making more than the professionals in the ministries. And yet, boys will not like to go into it. Listen, all CD be CD, except those which are stolen. That is dirty CD. There's a need, humility. In Ghana, there's a lot of cultural drugs, drag. In other words, we have a vampire system. As soon as you are making it, people want to suck your blood, especially extended family. High level of conviviality, having a good time, blowing every surplus at anniversaries and Easter and Christmas, and we're still over dead bodies. I just went to a relative of my wife's funeral, and when they finished, I asked them, they had spent almost 100,000 to bury the dead. Sebi, no bother. That could have been a capital for about 10 people in the family. When they finished, Professor Adei, being an in-law, went and did my small donation, which was not announced, and left. That don't work for the dead. Of course, there are Ghanaian problems. Political climate has not been the best. Economic climate, banking crisis, high level of interest rates and other things. But there are always opportunities there. But when you talk about, and I'm going to 7 and I'm going to finish soon. When you talk about investment, the first thing people worry about in Ghana is, where are you going to get the money? I have the ideas. All serious investors eventually get money. Why? Because they are willing to start where they have sufficient money for. Some people come to me, I have this business idea. That is, the young man, one came to me, a friend, professor's son, who has passed away, so I was quite sympathetic. And then he brought the ideas, and I was looking at it. He's going to be the MD, going to pay himself 5,000 Ghana cedis a month. Okay. You are not an entrepreneur. You want some people's money to pay you. Oftentimes, if you want to be an entrepreneur, for many people, your initial resources can only come from the founder yourself and that of your family and friends, which means that you have to start small. For example, Ghana Christian is probably, if not the biggest, one of the 3 biggest top-class schools in this country. Do you know where we started? In my house. I just happened to come to Ghana and I got a job at Gimpa as the rector. So my house in Alugoshi, not in the most posh place. So we call it New Achimota to make it look a little bit classic. And it became the office, the classroom, and other things with 15 students. That is how it started. So oftentimes, I always say that, if you want to do, how many of you here like Kelewele? Raise your hands. Kelewele. Those who like it very much, 2 hands. How many of you get Kelewele to buy? Do you know that at least at this moment, Ghana is looking for Kelewele millionaires? Because every corner, you can have somebody, and do you know what it requires to start a Kelewele business? At most, 200 Ghana cedis because of haircut. It used to be 50. You need 1 bottle of fried oil, some plantain, 1 sack. You go to the market late in the evening and do the one which has been bruised, because yours is going to ripe, so the look is not important. In any case, you peel it. And you need some pepper. And the sardines, you have 2, because they are sardines. Every corner shop has a sardine, so if you need more, you just go and get it. And every evening, you'll be earning no less than 30 Ghana cedis. And then to go to, of course, if you start because you started with only 1 flight oil, as soon as you reach 1 gallon, you are making 100 Ghana cedis, 3,000 before, and then you get about, because many people like to be workers. You employ about 10 ladies, or sit there. Because all I say, you pay them after the evening. You don't need to invest up. So they finish that evening. You give them 20 Ghana. Charlie, the person was earning nothing. So the first is that yourself. There's always money. And then there are angel investors. Listen. And none of you who came to this meeting can come to me. But for goodness sake and for Christ's sake, I can support 50 young entrepreneurs with 1,000 cedis each, provided they will pay back. Maybe with a little bit of interest of 10%, so that other people, and the 10%, because if I give you the 1,000, you are starting up, you should be able to pay it within 3 months. It's a good business. And therefore, if I roll it 10, then the return is almost like what Mr. Manti is looking for. In other words, the next is people, angel investors, people who are willing to support you, but they are not going to put so much money on you, but just enough for you. And let me tell you, if you are a young person here, the younger people, and you have not endeared yourself to some older people so that they are prepared to risk 1,000 cedis on you, there's trouble for you. You should have endeared yourself to. Just this morning, some lady came to my house, and I drove her back. Because I said, aren't you the lady who came to my house 2 years ago? He says, yes. She came to, and he says that she's a cabbage seller. And therefore, but she got sick and that things, and she has spent much of her capital. So I dashed her 600 to go and start the cabbage to replenish her money. He never showed up again. He came this morning with his son. His son is going to Damascus, so he come. If I can help the son for prospectus, I said, can you walk out? Yes, I'm not going to. Because she should have accounted. Not so. I wasn't going to, that money was dashed. She should have been coming back, living in the neighborhood. I will have helped her and then grow her business. Now so anytime you come, you are coming for money. I says, no, I'm prepared to help. When she came out first, to help her as an entrepreneur, but not as somebody. When I'm in need, I go to the person. No, I don't have room for that type of it. So, oftentimes, therefore, the money, then, and also, let me jump to a later one, and if you start your business, however small it is, keep record, bank all your proceeds, be on as little salary as possible, because at the end of the day, the profit will come back to you. But if you don't bank and keep your records, you can never grow. Interestingly, as a former chairman of GRA is not your enemy. In fact, he's a friend of small-scale entrepreneurs. All small businesses are tax exempt for 5 years. And if you keep your records, then you can also assess government maslock and other things. And if you don't, you wouldn't. Because later on, you want to go to the bank for money to expand. If they don't have a clear 6 months record of what you have been doing, they will not give you money. Then there are venture capitalists and equity. Sometimes you have the idea, and then someone has the money. Ghanaians want to go solo, 100%. No, you must allow the person to invest in it and says 25%. You will do all the sweat and everything else. He will give you that, which means that he owes 25%. The first thing, of course, when you can get some loan from it, but eventually you share the profit with it, with the person. So there are when you get, there are several, every topic I mention, I have 6 to 10 bullets, but time will not allow me. Let me. Giving all, is there hope? I believe that the hope, there's much hope for Ghana, and it will be in the form of entrepreneurs like you. But we must change our attitude. You know the story of some marketing man who was sent to go to some tribal area to go and sell shoes. And he went there and he came back and said, it's useless. No, there's no market for shoes. They all walk barefooted. So, of course, the boss sacked him. They sent another one. He went there and came back. He said, hey, please, can I have about 10 boxes of shoes? Where I went, nobody wears shoes. You see the difference. Someone saw shoelessness as no business. The other one saw shoelessness as opportunity. Except that, of course, you must go there not with the shoes that the people in front are wearing, but the cheap ones like mine, because they can't buy expensive shoes. But then, as soon as you get them used to the cheap shoes, very soon human beings, they want to upgrade. There is hope. Let me say that if you can motivate yourself by some of these things, first, to use one book title, Smelling the Cheese. If you think about what will come out, you know, some few years ago, I said myself that, I've been talking about finance. No, I want to set my target to become a CD millionaire. The thought of being a millionaire was so excited that, I'm smelling the cheese of her. It came about in less time, in fact, not less time, 1 year beyond my set time. And let me tell you, successful entrepreneurs have a good life. And so, smell the cheese and motivate yourself to go ahead. Don't waste your dreams, your cries, and your joys. Flash them in a simple business plan. Talk to mentors, motivators, successful businessmen. Research yourself on the net. Develop I can do spirit. Psych yourself not to give up when you fail. That's one of the things we are not talking about. The average successful entrepreneur has failed several times and yet tried again and succeeded. And always determined not to cut corners, whether it is moral and financial ethics, because integrity is everything in business for the long haul. Ghanaians, my channel, short way. You can never be a successful businessman because eventually people must trust you, your model. By God's grace, when people see that I am linked to any university in Ghana, they assume that the university is good and they send their children there. And Ashasi University has captured me because they made me, at the age of 70, Professor Emeritus of Ashasi University, which means that my name is linked to them. And of course, for 4 years, I was enjoying my peace. Only last week, they are starting an economics program. And they say, hey, Prof, you are an economist. You are coming. So they called me for the National Accreditation Board. Those who are coming to assess. Then, within a short time, we had finished. Ghana Christian International High School. This is a top-class school which turn away applicants. Why? Because we cannot take them. And we insist on 10 students per teacher. And therefore, Now the BEC has come. People who are knocking the doors. I said, no. You don't know Ghana Christian. We actually reopened in September. We never went to the government route. So therefore, we have already done 6 months. I'm closing my year in June. So, but if you have a business model, you are known for integrity, the rest comes easy. Please, and don't procrastinate. Go and start a good business now and have faith in God. But if you are going to be a successful business person, there are certain disciplines. You must always try to be legal. Bank all receipts, as I said. You will need allies. Of course, make sure that when you are coming together, the ground rules and the legal agreements are correct. Separate your personal income from your business. Be frugal and disciplined. Don't try to beat the system. Wherever possible, join association as soon as you start. If there's association of your, because there are some benefits that come by that. Seek synergies and partnerships. Don't let setbacks dampen you. And I have a note here. All successful entrepreneurs are believers. Not that they will go to heaven. But they have to believe in the idea. And of course, if it's backed by belief in God with hope, faith, and love, all the better. What would be my specific advice? Be bold. Identify a niche. Start small and be humble. Believe in yourself and in God. Seek advice and help. Be a person of integrity. Psych yourself for the long haul and act today. Let me conclude by saying, even in corrupt Ghana and Africa, where politicians and public servants loot their way to riches, the future of wealth belongs to entrepreneurs. Catching, cultivating, and pursuing entrepreneurship is worth it, despite the challenges. The wealth of individuals, families, and nations depend on the strength of their enterprises. It is wisdom, therefore, for all of us to encourage and pay the price of starting and sustaining businesses. Now, the low-hanging fruits, when you go, if you do the exercise where you live, with your 101, please, you can give them my email. It's very simple. Actually, it's adeistephen@gmail.com. I would like to engage some conversation with you. If you have ideas and you want to flash it up, the advice will be for free. Number 2, it wasn't meant for you to clap. It's meant for you to act. And my emails are there, Stephen. And when you send the email, you introduce yourself as what you are. Often also, the hassles. Often, it's easier to start a business while you are doing something that enables you to earn a living. Now, for example, Ghana Christian, many people think that it's a recent creation. It's 22 years old. I started and people, I didn't need my house because Gimpa gave me a house for free. So I started my home and I had a missionary friend, an American, who came and started the school. So it was, for 17 years, I never took a peso out of it. So you can do that. If you are, people don't know, you are a banker, but you can be a teacher in the evening. You can be a market woman. If you are educated in the evening, you teach your children and the neighbors. Always when you are able to do so. For example, at this moment, why, if you're a young person, why ride a private car if you don't own on it? Make it a Uber. You go to work. The only time I took an Uber, I went to Fiesta Royal. Had actually a brand new car, 4-wheel, less than 1 month, and it won't start. So, and I was so confident, I went with my wife without my driver. So I called my driver, left the key there, because I'm not going to, And then I called an Uber. And I don't know why the Uber, oh, small. Let's start one, which is a 4-wheel drive. Okay? Let's talk. And it came. So I was chatting with the person because I had to go to another meeting at Kempinski. So I went with my, Vitz Uber. People would say, hey, I hear no. But I was talking with a guy. Do you know, he was a public servant. He did Uber only in the evening and the weekend. At that time, the young girl and nothing hadn't come. I said, how much do you make? He was making 3,000 a month, far more than his salary. This is a hustler. I hope he has still time for his children and wife. So don't undermine your other relationships. But oftentimes you can do things that way. While you are working, for example, it's not that this year, hopefully by the end of this year, I'm going to be with a group launching probably the biggest real estate place in Ghana, which I won't tell you the details until it's properly announced. But, over the past 7 years, some small money, we've bought 300 acres in a prime area. And so you can do things whilst you are still in employment. So you don't have to be unemployed. But if you happen to be unemployed, and a few may be here, you must be doing some business within a week, which you can start for less than 1,000. And these are the people I want to first to send me. This is what we want to do. And let's see how future millionaires can start small next week. God bless you. Good. Since I'm leaving, 5 questions, or forever hold your peace. Yes. 5. Who are the 5? Let me just identify the 5 first. Ladies, please sit down. I haven't identified you yet. You raise your hand. Ladies first. 1, I'm giving you number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And quick, give them.
Okay, in that order. So,
my name is Samaha Mohammed, a PR student of UMAG. You mentioned earlier that you do more than 4 jobs. Now, I've learned how to sew, and I make beats as well, and I'm into photography as well. But I find it so hard to put myself out there. I get friends telling me that, Samaha, you're doing too much. Why won't you focus on one thing so that people will know you for this? I want to know how will I be able to combine all of these things and then put myself out there as well. Thank you.
But I guess that you have a husband too.
No, I'm not married. I'm single.
Okay. Because I said that you may have other duties. That's for the joke. Well, always you do better to have a brand. And always you must, of all those things, you must choose an area where you are going to really make a name. And later on, the other things will become useful. For example, I think that most people know me as Gimpa. I'm 75 years. I always spent 9 years in Gimpa. But in Ghana, that is the brand. In fact, people call me Mr. Gimpa. But as a result, I serve on 10 boards. I own shares in about 5 rural banks because that's where it's easier. Their share capital is total about 1 million. So, and until the haircut business came in, the return was about 40% better than EcoBank. I didn't say anything, and you didn't hear anything because Mr. Manti is here. Because my wife owns shares in EcoBank, so I know your return on shares. So I think that the second thing is that you must learn there's a extent to which you can do many things. For example, Ghana Christian has always had the topmost people as principals. So I don't go there. I've never taught in a classroom there before. And nothing. So some areas you may want to synergize with other people and supervise. In fact, somebody is going to talk about multiple streams of income. So it doesn't mean, for example, when I was thinking through, I realized that I have maybe about 9 or 10 sources of income. I still earn a salary. Every month, Senate send me a social security, which is above the average salary of a graduate in Ghana. So it comes in. I have dividends. Despite the haircut, Mr. Manti works for me every month, even though my pastor tells me that I should be a good Christian, not to work on Sunday. He allows my money to work on Sunday because the interest is paid all throughout the year without any Sabbath day. And it goes on and on. So, yes, I think that the reason why I'm not going to spend that much time on the rest, is the fact that, yes, you can have multiple sources, but also you are limited. At this moment, you can do more because you don't have a husband yet. You don't have a family. Soon you have to, but learn to get people also as your employees in those areas so that you become a manageress and then get an area where, yes, ma'am.
My name is Portia. I'm a student and a teacher. Growing up, I had a passion for dancing. And then my mom was like, I have to be in National Theatre and be doing those cultural things that they were doing, but I didn't get the opportunity. How will I be able to use that dancing skills now, if I still want to use it?
Well, I cannot help you because I'm not that good dancer, but maybe you will try and see. But actually, there are certain giftedness. In fact, you wouldn't believe that you can set up a dancing school with that gift. In fact, all my 4 children are scientists. But the third one, who happens to be, I'm proud of it, to be the topmost biologist teacher in Australia. Do you know, her hobby was drawing. And now he designs and draws for international companies, designers of clothes and other things. So your passion there, it will require a little bit more reflection. You have gotten my email, do a little bit reflection and let us engage. And then, because I haven't thought about the dancing area much, but every skill is marketable. And especially when we can teach people, how to, you don't have to be at the theater, yes?
Thank you, Prof, for the wonderful presentation you gave. My name is
That's not
Edmond.
the question.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the gap between the young one generation and the elderly is widening because of a lack of mentorship. In what way can the younger generation benefit consistently from the knowledge of the elderly?
Very good. Whenever I go to speak to young people, many people come and say that, we want you to be your mentor. Do you know what I say always? Yes. Because I know that when I go out, they will not follow up again. Listen, there are so many mentors there, except that there are no mentees. Because, listen, if you want to, your name again, at the Foley. If you go to, the people living around me, there's only one who is a friend. In fact, yesterday I dashed him some 100 Ghana cedis and other things. Why? Because they will make a step and come in my language, say, even the chief doesn't have all that he needs. It's the people willing to go and serve people. And just a little bit helping them with their car, That is how some of us got, when I was in training college. Before I finished Set A, I had London University O level and A level, because there was most of the areas I could study myself by correspondence course, but mathematics was a bit difficult. There was a teacher, Mr. Sam. I would go to his house, pound his wife's fufu, clean and iron things, and he would teach me mathematics. So, in 4 years, after San 7, I had both O level and A level. And so, sometimes it's because the young people now are not willing to approach old people, spend time with them. I said yes, but I know they won't come. They don't know where I live, and other things. So you make a speech, and they think that is good, That's it. So that is what it. And the good thing about mentorship is that one person can be a mentor to 200 people. Just one advice. That is it. Yesterday I was quite impressed. Some young person came to me and says that, Prof, I hear that you advise people. And they say, how did you know? He says, oh, your security told me. Can I come and sit with you for you to advise me? Then I said, follow me. And I took my book, which 7 Keys to Abundant Living. I said, you go and read this book. And when you finish, come. Because when he finishes that book, you have more ideas and more questions. So this is next person.
My name is Abraham. I want to ask a question.
Yes, that's why.
You serve on a lot of boards.
Yes.
I see you are very well networked. Can you tell me the secret of your networking?
No, all the boards, apart from one, I was invited. And it's not working. Because in boards, actually, people think that it's only the politicians, they think that, you go and serve on board to benefit you. No. In fact, it's against the rule. Apart from your board fee, which is so little that it is a waste of my time in most cases. But the ethics of being a board member is that you will not benefit from the organization, but lend your advice, is the chief executive, and be a sounding board for them. Apart from Adansi Rural Bank, which I applied to be on the board. Imagine, it's the rural bank. Why? Because I owe 25% of it. And I think that things were going on, I didn't like, so I wanted to be there, feely. The rest, they invite you. I believe that I'm sure, Mr. Manti, if he stops working, he will be harassed. Why? You have to distinguish yourself in an area, and then people will actually beg you to come and give them advice. That's what a board is all about. So it's not so much of your network. For example, in my case, I must confess that what happened at Gimpa led to those much of the invitations. I always tell people that, so far as my personal assessment is concerned, Gimpa is not my greatest job. I mean, once I was the chief of the United UNDP African Bureau in New York. During the transition, I was head of the UN system in South Africa with Mandela. And Ghana Christian International High School, to me, in terms of impact, exceeds Gimpa. But oftentimes, there will be one area in which you, by distinguishing yourself, others know you, and that's how you get onto boards. When you grow up, you are not yet on the board level yet. You have to acquire experience, and then other people think that they will benefit from your advice. That's how not the politicians, whereby, that's why we are in trouble with all government businesses, because it is rewarding. MPP is in power. Oh, yes, baby. That is not the type of board membership we are talking about. And any money. Yes.
Please, I'm Richmond.
Yes.
Thank you, Prof, for the wonderful presentation. Please, I want to find out what is the greatest challenge of entrepreneurs in the world, and then also if you can break it down to Africa and then to Ghana. And then what is the greatest challenge for startup businesses, and then what is also the greatest challenge for already established businesses? Thank you.
No, that's too much. This one will be 5 hours of lectures. So I won't use the word greatest because I don't know the greatest, but so you can sit down.
Okay, thank you.
I think that all entrepreneurs have the challenge of self-discipline and tenacity. Tenacity, the willingness to work until you get there. It's a challenge that will be. In Africa and Ghana, I think that not only the politicians, it's an issue of integrity. Because it is, people don't want to do clean business. In fact, many people believe that you can't do clean business and succeed. But what that does is that you have already sent a message to your banker that you cannot be trusted, your partners, and others. I think that integrity is often the biggest issue in terms of. Do you know, when I was in Gimpa and I started Ghana Christian International School, we started small, no money, just our house and everything else. Even the principal was free. A retired friend of our Afro-American came and donated her services for 2 years. But the time came, we wanted to expand. I needed $1 million. $1 million in Ghana. I walked to Barclays Bank. I said, I needed 1 million. Do you know that they gave me 1 million without asking for collateral or anything in Ghana? Nothing. And then, even at Gimpa, I needed 3 million to start my development. Before I went to Ghana Christian, I went to them again and asked for $3 million. And they said, okay, you can have it. And then they say, like the Manti says that Ghana, you 10% or dollar. And I say, hey, me dollar, no, abrofu dollar, the same dollar. I said, I will not pay it. I will pay only LIBOR +1. They said, no, it's Ghana. I said, please, go and ask your people in London. 2 weeks they came, they says, you can have it. Barclays Bank gave me 3 million for government work at LIBOR plus, that means the basic rate for those of you, London Interbank lending rate, so +1%. And never ask for my board, the chairman or the government to guarantee it. Integrity takes a longer time, but it ultimately pays. And if you do want a sustainable business, today, let me tell you, if I go to our bankers, Ghana Christian, EcoBank, GT Bank, and Ghana Consolidated Bank, Ghana, these days they confuse you, GBC, CCBG. Right? It used to be my friend Dufour's bank, Unibank, wonderful friend of mine over the years. If I go to each one of them, and I'm planning a 40 million program for expansion of the school, I will get it. And it's not because they believe that Stephen Adei will not renege on the money. And the bankers, as for money, they are the only people whose job is selling money. That's all their job. And if they don't get somebody to buy, all their Benz and the 4 wheels, they can't service it. So they are always looking for buyers. And they had too much confidence in the government, and now it's serving them right with a haircut. Now they will start having confidence in business people. So if they don't sell money, they have nothing. And they are looking for people who they can sell the money on one condition. They will pay back plus interest. And the more they trust you, the lesser what they post, they don't mind them. 35%, 50%. If they trust you, they bring it. You say, don't tell anybody. Let's go on.
Thanks for the opportunity. My name is Tete Mosango, a student of Accra Technical University. Please, Prof, I want to ask.
Let me do you a favor. When you go back, go to your Vice Chancellor's office. And then he says that there's a message, personal message from me. Okay. And as soon as they let you there, he says, in cancer, you that's all.
Thank you.
And you'll be his friend forever. What do you say? Well, you know, I'm giving him a business opportunity. Yeah, he has forgotten. Yes, go on.
Please, I want to ask, are Ghanaians system thinkers?
Systems thinkers?
Yes. And in what way are Ghanaians system thinkers? If yes.
Are you a systems thinker?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Ghanaians are system thinkers. They are not many. But, let me just break his things down. He's at the university for one prof for doors into the systems thinker right now. A car was put in by a systems thinker because steam engine was created by Stevenson in the Wright University, the one I attended. That's the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow. So somebody did this. Somebody did break other things, and somebody synergically put them all together. If you are going to be a business person, you cannot be a one-track thinker. You must think about money, human resources, and all of them. That's assembling things together. And that is what makes the difference. After all, in my business, there's an accountant. There is teacher, there's this. But the business person sits there, he doesn't think all of them are what? Tools, including EcoBank. Of course, they profit from me, but for me, they are my tool to achieve my end. There's some small boy, I say small boy because he was a classmate of my last born, who is their manager at Legon. He said, Prof, when did they? I say, sure. You think that I bring my money there, that's where all my fees go. You think that I brought my money there so that you will be able to be in a Benz and I will be in Trotsky? No. But, so what I'm saying, I think about the bank as part of education because he will like all the fees, which will be used for about 4 months, to be sitting there. And they call it float. That's where they get their money from. In other words, they pay nothing. In fact, they charge you for running the current account. No. Every money, put it, if I don't need immediately, put it in call account. And if it's more than 2 million, if you don't give me 14% and above, I won't accept. So if you don't think that way holistically, you will end up losing a lot. You'll be working for the bankers, for the electricity corporation, and other things. I'm now doing solar for the place. I'm now digging my borehole and processing my water because Ghana Christian with 1,000 people is chopping about 50,000 a month. Yes, last one. This is last one.
I am Nathaniel, a student journalist of the Ghana Institute of Journalism.
Hey, journalism.
So, with inheritance as a source of finance for the second generational
inheritance.
Yes, please. Yes. There are certain critiques that they face. So I want to ask you, as a second generational entrepreneur, let's say I'm a second generation entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm first.
So what would be your advice to me if I'm facing these critiques like I'm defaming the name of the job? Yes, please. I want to ask you advice.
Very simple. You see, look, if you happen to be in a place whereby your father and your mother has set a business, you must still, and it's actually the responsibility of your parents to make sure you go through the rigors of education and discipline, and that you start as an employee. The only advantage you will have is that you will work in every department. My son is now executive director of the school because but you know, if you see him working in the pantry and everything else, that is his job. So if you're a second generation, the first thing is that you owe yourself and the image of your parents' business to first of all study hard. Understand probably one of the courses you should do if it's a general business is Chartered Institute of Secretaryship. It is the old MBA of the British system where you do accounting, company law, administration, all of them. If it happens to be a technical business, learn the technical, understand it. You don't have to be an engineer to supervise engineers, but you must understand engineering and how even their mind work. Engineer for home work, it is a bridge. So but be prepared to go. Actually, it's your parents' responsibility. If you go to Europe and America, something and sons, 300 years, but each of the children will have gone through, they start from the shop floor. But everybody knows that they are going to be the head. There are 3 people ahead of my son in the school. And I always tell him, and he is a very good one, and I think 36 already. I say that he's not going to be the chief executive until after 7 years. Because the one who is heading it, I think he's a good person, is going to be there until he's 70. And I'm also insisting that he must be prepared to take 3 years off sabbatical and go and do his doctorate. It's nice to say at the head of the school is a doctor. Okay, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Since I've talked for Manti some of the time, we'll give them short period. Please, if we can have a little break and I run away.
A round of applause for Prof. Wow. Power packed. Don't stop, please. A round of applause. A standing ovation is okay. It's okay if you want to do that. Go ahead and do it. Prof. Prof, before you leave, we know you've announced earlier that you'll be taking leave of us, but there is a presentation for you. Please, you can take your seat. Take your seat. Yeah, so...
I'll give the number to
with the Mante. Okay, all right. So we'll invite the presentation to be done, and this will be done by Pastor Francis Adei. So, Prof, I invite you on stage just for the look and feel, the camera. I invite you on stage. I also invite Pastor Francis Adei to do us the honors. A little token to thank you for being part of us this afternoon. And Prof, I think that I'll start a Kelly business. I'll start a Kelly business.
As a joint venture.
At a joint venture. Okay, all right. I was coming to you for ideas, but once a joint venture, it's even good. So we'll do that. But I'll take your 1,000 cities anyway. All right.
You know he doesn't qualify for the child.
Wow, that's a power-packed presentation. Delved into so many avenues. I have learned a lot, and I'm not joking about the Kelly business, because I think that where I live, I can walk into certain areas to identify opportunities to start it. So if you are here and you also want to be part of it, Prof, your email address there is one, right? adaist@gmail.com. So I'll be giving this so that those who want to send your ideas to him personally to be approved, to get your 1,000 cedis to start and pay back with interest, you do so. We'll do that. I think it's a good place to put your hands together for that.
What the youth can do? First of all, the youth don't constitute a monolithic one. There are a small proportion of the youth who are almost, in terms of economic status, they are in the middle class. They must accept that during this stormy period, there will be a reduction in standard of living, and that they should cut the frills and make sure that they survive. They should avoid going for loans and the view of maintaining their lifestyle. That is for those who have made it. For those who are at the lower ones, unfortunately, again, standard of living, instead of buying, have to go for other things. Moderation is always what is needed until the storm is over. But I think that there's opportunity for people who are unemployed to seek ways of starting low. I mentioned, my insurer favorite was Kenny Willie. But we can never believe that a lot of the women who are selling bananas, plantains, and other things, that's where, because they are humble, especially the men, they don't want to humble themselves. And these days, I went to Legon, I went to Tech, I went to these other things. But if you open your eyes, that's what we did, you will find, and that's why I've given up the task, to think through at least 100 investment ideas, all of which you can start with 100 to 1,000 cedis tomorrow. And then you can go to angel investors, people by God's grace like us, who can probably fund about 50 of such type of enterprises, provided integrity is there that they will pay. Because if you don't pay, then you are like the Ghanaians, you kept on borrowing until now we are in the debt.
Thank you so much for your time, Prof.